come from a very disadvantaged background. My parents suffered from crack cocaine addiction and we lived in poverty. My dad was actually homeless and never worked again after him and my mom got divorced around 1990. I spent most of my childhood living with my mom and stepdad, and we relied heavily on homeless shelters. We moved around constantly, and many of the times when we did have a place to call home, it wouldn't be long before it transformed into a crack house. My sisters and I were taken away from our parents on 2 occasions to live in foster homes. Sometimes my dad would come take us from our mom, and we would have to panhandle in order to eat. On nights when we couldn't find anyone to take us in, his go-to spot for us to sleep was one of his friends' broke-down old cars. I went to over 15 schools growing up before I finally became a high school dropout. Although I dropped out of high school very early and I had gaps in my education, I somehow managed to pass the GED test the same year that I would have graduated high school. Rather than using that GED to get a job or go to college, I began doing what everyone else that I knew was doing, hustle. In 2004, I got involved in a bank fraud scheme that was very widespread in this area. In late 2006, I found out I had a warrant for my arrest, and although I had never been to jail before and I was scared, I turned myself in. I walked in with no criminal record, a first-timer. My bail was set at $100,000. I spent the next 8.5 months in the Pierce County Jail facing 30 felony charges. Eventually, I pled guilty to all charges and was sent to prison. I spent 12 additional months in prison before being released in June 2008. When I was released from prison, I knew I had to do something different. I made a lot of money doing illegal activities. I had gotten used to driving BMWs, Mercedes-Benzes, and Lexuses. I had gotten used to having a pocket full of money to blow at all times. And although I would love to still have nice things, I had no desire to go back to what had got me locked up. I decided to get a job at the Old Country Buffet so I could make a little money and keep my probation officer happy. After 3 days working there, I just couldn't do it. This was my first time ever having a job, and I felt like if I was ever going to keep a job, I needed to find something more respectable and challenging, something that would allow me to use my brain. After I quit my job, I decided to enroll at Pierce College, where I earned an associate's degree in alcoholism and drug abuse. My background led me to want to help other people, and being a drug and alcohol counselor seemed like a good way to do that. Plus, my mom and dad were both there and really proud of me. My stepdad passed a month before graduation, but I know he would have been really proud as well. Coming to the University of Washington was never my plan. However, once I learned it was a possibility, I decided to transfer here rather than going to work as a drug and alcohol counselor. Before I finished my first year here, my mom passed away as well. Losing my mom was really hard, but I was still able to graduate from UWT, and my dad was there in the stands to see it happen. After graduating with my bachelor's, I decided to apply and was accepted into graduate school here at UWT. During my first quarter of grad school, my dad passed away as well. However, here I am today, almost at the finish line, about to earn a master's degree. The problems being addressed by my research project are recidivism and mass incarceration. The United States incarcerates more of its citizens than any other developed nation. There's over 2.2 million people incarcerated in the U.S. The majority of prisoners are released, but over 2/3 will return within 5 years. Many scholars agree that post-secondary education can have a major impact on reducing the risk for recidivism. However, while there have been many quantitative studies involving the success rates of prison-based education programs, there is a lack of qualitative research that focuses on the lived experience of formerly incarcerated college students. My project involves using autoethnography, which makes the researcher the focus of the research, as a method to explore my personal experiences with the transition from prison to college for the purposes of creating the curriculum for a workshop and accompanying workbook that is designed to help people make the same transition. My experiences will inform areas of focus, while content is pulled from secondary sources. One of the areas of focus identified is getting started, which includes providing information about applying for admission and financial aid, as well as choosing a path, amongst other things. Another area of focus is being successful, which includes doing schoolwork, utilizing both campus resources and community resources, as well as facing adversity. Another area of focus is being a felon on campus, which includes learning about stigma and disclosure of one's background. Participants are also informed about the benefits that come from diverse perspectives in classroom settings. That's what I have for you today.